Here we have a pretty interesting video again about the pyramid, the new findings that they found under the pyramids. I think it's a little bit of bullshit, but Praveen Mohan, he's really good. He's from India. He visits all these like sacred sites in India and talks about what it could be and anyways, stuff like that. He's really smart, very well read, but I find they kind of suppress his YouTube channel, so I definitely want to tell you guys to follow him. He's got a lot of different channels, but Praveen Mohan, that's his name. Definitely you should subscribe. He has a lot of knowledge on all sacred sites, the pyramids, everything. Like you can see here, he has over 450 million views total. 400 million views. Anyways, he has a lot of good content, so I'm sure this will be good.
Vast underground city in Derinkuyu, Turkey. Ancient underground systems in India. Now Egypt. On March 15th, 2025, just 2 weeks ago, researchers announced something that's beyond belief. There is a vast underground city hidden underneath the pyramid of Khafre in Egypt. But this structure is so large and so deep, even people like me who want to believe this are completely shocked. Why? Because researchers claim they found this underneath the Khafre pyramid. It looks very advanced, like a Hollywood movie set. They've discovered 5 unopened structures which look like thatched houses with those slanted tops. But remember, the Great Pyramid has the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber, which look very much like this. So, finding similar structures in the Khafre pyramid is not far-fetched. But then they discovered 8 cylindrical structures going directly underneath, and each of these cylinders has a spiral structure going around it. These look like giant Tesla coils, some kind of ancient energy devices.
Apparently, though, they use like a type of lidar from space, from a space satellite, to find this. And a lot of people a lot of scientists and smart people are saying it's impossible because it's only like lidar. You can only get to the ground. If there's trees and stuff in the way, you can see through the trees, but you can't see through the ground. And here they're proposing that they can see 800 meters into the ground. There's no technology that exists that can do that. Even ground penetrating radar, it only goes down like 10 feet, 10 to 30 feet or something like that, unless you have a super high powered one. But again, they usually don't allow you to do this at the pyramids. That's why these people use the satellite, because they didn't need permission from Egyptologists to do it. That's another weird thing, that Egyptologists don't want you to find out stuff. Like a lot of things are locked, a lot of things are denied for research, which is weird. It's like they know that there's more. They like, or they're I don't know. They're trying to drip feed the discoveries so that the discoveries last for a long time. But apparently, there's nothing that can in space that can penetrate the ground 800 meters through the ground. Through foliage in the forest, yes, but not through the ground. So that's why it's like, how did they find these columns, these spiral staircases or spiral tubes, and then even deeper, these 4 big pillars at the bottom? It's very sus. So, but I'm intrigued to see what Praveen's gonna say.
We do not know if they're solid structures or hollow structures. And immediately, some of you may get skeptical. How could ancient boulders make such hollow cylinders underground? This is impossible technology, right? No, this is called a water well. This is not difficult. We make large circular holes to reach the water. And even when we reach the water, we don't stop. We manually keep going many, many feet deep. This has been done by ancient peoples around the world, not just in Egypt. India is known for its ancient spiral wells going deep underground. But it's not the cylinders that bother me, it's the length of the cylinders. How deep are they going underground? 500 feet? 1,000 feet? More than 2,000 feet. Yes, researchers confirm that each cylinder goes to a depth of 2,126 feet. This is truly extraordinary because look at the ancient underground city of Derinkuyu in Turkey. It goes underground about 18 levels, but it's only about 200 feet deep. This is 10 times deeper than that. If this is true, we have found something that truly changes history and archaeology. This is so deep, it's impossible to visualize. Everyone knows this gigantic statue, the Statue of Liberty. You can see people next to it. They look like ants, right? But its height from heel to the top of the head is 111 feet. And you can put 20 statues of liberty, one on top of another, inside every cylinder. That's how deep these cylinders go underground. Imagine 160 statues of liberty. That's the depth and width we are talking about. This is why I find it hard to believe, because such technology is very hard even today. For example, there's only one building in the whole world that is taller than this, and it's called the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, which is the tallest building in the world. And it was incredibly hard to build it above ground. Now, think of building such a structure underground. But it does not stop there. Underneath the cylinders, there are two massive cube-like structures. Each side measures approximately 260 feet, taller than a 20-story building. What was the purpose of these chambers? Was it used to store documents of lost knowledge? In addition to this, the SAR scans also reveal a vast underground complex that is more than a mile long beneath the entire Giza plateau. Was it connected to Atlantis? Did reptile-like beings, the Nagas, live in these underground areas? Is it a secret military base of the New World Order? But how did Egyptian authorities, who are notorious for preventing access to researchers, grant access to scan the Pyramid of Khafre? They didn't. These scans were done from an orbiting satellite using a private company. Radar signals were sent from two satellites over 400 miles above Earth. This is how they got the scans done, because the Egyptian authorities would have never accepted such a scan on site. It's well known that Egyptian authorities resist deep research into the pyramids. In fact, Dr. Zahi Hawass, who's the face of Egyptian archaeology, is known for calling some people pyramidiates. Who is a pyramidiate? Anyone who refuses to accept that pyramids are mere tombs to bury the dead. The core belief of Egyptology is this: pyramids were built as tombs, period. But if the Great Pyramid is just a tomb, why is it aligned precisely with the four cardinal directions? Can you tell me any modern tomb that's made to align precisely with the cardinal directions? And why would all three pyramids match the layout of the three stars of Orion's belt? Would any family construct their tombs with this layout today? Not to mention the enormous size and intricate passages inside the pyramids. These pyramids were definitely not built as tombs. This is common sense, but this means they will call me a pyramidiot too. But there are new additions to this list of pyramidians. Who? These researchers who have released the scan information and the visuals of underground structures. Why? Because they too claim that these pyramids are not built as tombs and there's more to it. They claim that the Khafre pyramid you see is only the tip of the iceberg, and just like the iceberg, 90% of the actual structure is hiding underground. And you can clearly see that they're going against mainstream Egyptology. It says, SAR technology, Khafre project for all mankind. For all mankind. This is a clear sign that they do not want to go through the traditional route because they know they will be bullied and ridiculed in the name of peer review, while the authorities also deny them access to the sites to do any physical exploration. In fact, you can see Dr. Zahi Hawass in the news every day denouncing these researchers for spreading fake news.
I hate this guy. I really hate this guy. He's so obnoxious. I've seen so many videos of this guy yelling at people, being a total fucking asshole. I hate him. I hate him. I don't know how he's like in charge of Egypt. Like, what kind of connection? Why is he the lead? Why does he decide everything in Egypt? Who made him the king of Egypt? Why is he deciding everything? It shouldn't be like that.
News. Now, are these researchers really credible? Yes. One of them is Professor Corrado Malanga of
I don't know. His eyes don't give me too much confidence there. Like, but anyways.
the University of Pisa, and the other one is Filippo Biondi from the University of Strathclyde. We have to appreciate their courage because now they're going to be called pseudoscientists and conspiracy theorists and could even lose their academic positions because of mainstream backlash. But are the researchers employing reliable technology? Most importantly, have they used it successfully before? Yes. In fact, they've used the same technology to study the Great Pyramid of Giza in 2022. We all know that the Great Pyramid is right next to the Khafre Pyramid. This 2022 study was published in a science journal, Remote Sensing, and what they documented there is extremely interesting. Here's a satellite scan result of the Great Pyramid, and here are the known chambers and passages inside the Great Pyramid. Now, if you merge both of them, you can see that they match accurately. This proves that their SAR technology works, and no.
Well, first of all, come on. It's a stretch saying it looks exactly the same. The scan is really not that good, and that's above ground, so they can still penetrate more. But in the ground, 2,000 feet in the ground, come on. I don't really believe it.
Nobody questioned them at the time because they were only showing what we already know. But when they applied the same technology to the Khafre pyramid and revealed these underground structures, all hell broke loose because mainstream media does not want to accept that such a large underground city exists underneath. Why? Because most people believe a narrative, not science. In situations like this, common people will go by general consensus. For example, if you see 10 YouTube videos and 8 of them claim this is a lie, you will believe this is fake news. And conversely, if you see 10 X posts claiming it is legit, you will believe this is true. This is called social proof in psychology, and this is a bias that everyone has. For example, a majority of people thought that Russia was a bad player until now, and are suddenly starting to think that Ukraine is a bad player that provoked Russia. This is because the narrator has changed, so the narrative also changes. And we must accept that a commoner will never fully understand what's really going on and who's really pulling the strings. So, should you believe that an underground system exists beneath the Khafre pyramid? No. So, should you not believe it? No. Just keep questioning it until it's proven or disproven beyond doubt. How do you prove or disprove this? If Egyptian authorities just start digging at the easily diggable locations, they can easily find out if this is real or not. This is the easiest way to do this. And I think there is a very good chance that these structures really exist underground. But I do have several questions in my mind. Now, what if these are natural structures? What if these are natural fissures or caves going deep underground into the limestone bedrock? We know that natural caves exist in these areas, and such faults are always seen in these bedrocks. But perhaps nature cannot make 8 equally spaced cylinders all going underground to the exact same depth and ending in 2 cubes. So maybe they are, in fact, artificial structures. The other question is the water table. Now, this is really mind boggling. Remember, the depth of these structures is going below 2,000 feet, right? But the current water table at Giza Plateau is about 50 feet below the surface. And at the pyramid of Khafre, the ground is slightly elevated compared to the surrounding area. So the water table is about 100 feet deep. So these structures are not only underground structures, but they're also underwater structures. But there is a detail that really goes against the researchers' findings. The SAR technology cannot penetrate water and see what's underneath the water. So in simple terms, if they're doing these scans from the top, they have to go through the water, which is at 100 feet depth. But SAR cannot go through water. So how did they find all these details underneath the water table going more than 2,100 feet deep? Now, this does not automatically debunk their findings. Maybe they have an explanation for this. And these researchers are saying something very interesting. They want more scans on site. They want technology like seismic imaging and muon detection to verify their findings. This means they're genuinely interested in verifying their discovery. However, it's likely that Egyptian authorities and mainstream people will block access to them while tarnishing their reputation, and the common people will slowly forget this discovery. But there is one question that's truly mind-boggling. Who is using this ancient underground city? I hope you like this video. I am Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's not a city there. It could be a city, but again, if the pyramids were creating energy and you have pillars going down into the water table, and it's a long explanation there, but the pyramids, the chambers in the pyramids could have been like a ram pump. If you look up what a ram pump is, and then let's say you add more water than what there is now. There's no water around the pyramids, but way back there was evidence that the Nile was higher, that there was more water everywhere. Plus the water table's not even that low. These tunnels could be pumping water naturally through the pyramid, creating pressure on the granite. There's rooms with the big granite chests and granite overhead triangles that are like 20 tons each or something like that, and they always wondered why that was there. Well, granite has a piezoelectric force. You can apply force to it and you'll get electricity out of it. It's not as good as quartz, but it still has that function. So if you had water going through the pyramids with a ram pump type application that's natural, you don't need power to make the pump work. It's just the forces of gravity and water and air. And so like it's interesting to think that, yeah, and then maybe there was a super advanced civilization that was more advanced than what we know that the Egyptians had. That's a whole other story, but there's a lot of evidence that shows that the pyramids were super advanced further back, and then they couldn't replicate it, and so they were making mud pyramids after. So there was a degradation of technology. We always think, oh, technology keeps building and building and building. But like if there was a world war or if there was a super volcano explosion and most of the world would die, we would lose all our advanced technology. There's no way they could recreate Wi-Fi, internet, all of the most complicated stuff. If we lose all of our information and on how to build those things, a normal person like you and me can't build that. And so, yeah, we could still do a lot of things, but we wouldn't be able to get to that high of technology. And I really believe the pyramids are that. They're a form of energy manipulation that the Egyptians later on said, oh, we built it. Just like the Romans. The Romans took over Lebanon and stuff, and there was these big temples that nobody can really explain how these big trilithon blocks were made that are thousands of tons. Even now we couldn't really move them. We could, but it would be really tough. So Rome took over and said, oh, we built this. And then they patched it up, but you can see where they patched it up and the blocks are much smaller. And so they didn't have the same technology. So I think we've lost technology from the distant past. Could be 10, 20,000 years ago. There was a super advanced civilization like right now, like we are now, but even maybe more advanced or different type of technology. And then that got lost because there was cataclysm, ice age, or a variety of things could have killed most of the population on Earth. Then everybody restarted, and then it was the Romans, the ancient Egyptians that stayed there or took over, but they didn't have the same technology. Because there's all this evidence of power tools, basically big giant wheels that were cutting into the granite, and they left overcuts. And it's like, well, if they were just using copper tools like they say, they wouldn't have wasted all that energy to do an overcut into the granite stone that would take weeks and weeks of grinding. That wouldn't happen. It just shows evidence of big power tools. Well, how did they have power tools? How did they have a big saw that could cut granite when they have copper? Copper is much weaker than granite. There's a lot of things, if you look into it, that don't make sense with Egypt, and they just say, oh, well, they did it. And it's like, no. There's technology that's been lost. So it's always intrigued me a lot. So yeah, I'm always super interested in these things. Hopefully it interests you, and yeah, look into it, because there's a lot of interesting stuff to look into with Egypt. All right, peace out. I'm out. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.